Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, welcome to another episode of 94 Feet Podcast. It's your boy Big Zeke in the building. I'm also here with my brothers Dre.
What up, y'all? What up, nation? How y'all doing?
I'm also in the building with my brother Kesey.
What's good people?
How y'all week been going, man?
It's been a good week, man. Good week. Really, really long week, man. You know, the last week before holiday break tends to be that way, but it's been good, man. It's been good.
Man.
It's been good.
What about you, Kesey?
It's been an all right week, Can't complain. I'm still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we best.
How was your week, man?
I had a good week, man. I had a real good week, man.
We went to the Bucks game last night and watched them get ran at by the Cavaliers.
I mean,
Woo!
with them being shorthanded as they were, I'm surprised it wasn't worse.
I know, but man, when you hope that your second unit can at least do something for you,
I think the second unit can keep up with them. The Cavaliers pretty good.
Man, Kesey said a funny joke about Kevin Love. He said Kevin Love was out there looking like somebody's grandpa. I forgot Kevin Love still played in the league.
I
man.
really did until I saw him last night with a head full of gray hair.
I mean, Kevin Love, yeah, that's yeah. I mean, that's all you can really say. Because
look, he had this ball like, no, I ain't gonna even say it.
I'm not going to go there, man. I'm glad Kevin Love, who's actually battling with some real mental health issues, is back on the floor. So that's all I can really say about that.
He was, man. Yes, he was. But it was nice being in the house again. It was a late game, but the team, we were watching the game, but when we got to our seats, there were more people outside watching the volleyball game than it was.
Yeah, he was really watching that volleyball game. It was
shout out to the Wisconsin Badgers for winning the volleyball championship.
Shout out, Badgers. Yo.
I didn't think it was that serious, but apparently this is their fourth time or third time going, and they haven't. This is their first time winning.
Yeah, Badgers sports, man. Their following, their alumni following is crazy, man. They get behind every sport, hockey, volleyball, everything. So shout out to the Badgers. That's what's good.
Shout out. Also, I told my nephew I give him a shout out today, yo. He played a good game on Friday night too.
That's good, man.
18 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals.
Tell the nation what's your nephew's name so they can find him on Huddy or whatever else.
Look him up. Courtney Davis Jr., West Dallas Central High School basketball, y'all.
That's what's up.
Right,
Bulldogs go.
That's what's up.
That is what's up. This episode we're gonna do things a little differently. We're gonna do a little light episode. With the midst of coronavirus spreading through the NBA like government cheese, I think that this is a good time to do something really lightly. But first, I just want to go over these quick these non-COVID injuries. We got Los Angeles Lakers. Anthony Davis had a sprained MCL on his left knee. He'll be out for about 4 weeks. Honestly, I think it'll be a little bit longer. And as Dre is rolling his eyes, Anthony Davis has been pretty injury prone his whole career, but recently.
I don't really want to say it was his fault because it was somebody behind.
It was actually LeBron's fault.
I seen somebody else behind.
I don't know who fought it.
It was LeBron.
You think it was LeBron's fault?
LeBron pushed dude into Anthony Davis. Y'all better go watch
LeBron. He was setting the screen. Anthony Davis setting the screen.
He was not setting the screen. He pushed dude.
No, he stepped back. I watched it. He stepped back clear. When he stepped back, he rolled his ankle too. You didn't even see that.
I saw that part.
He rolled.
I saw that part. But the thing was, LeBron fell into the guy that caused Davis. I'm not looking for anyone to blame. I'm just saying what it is. And Anthony Davis, man, although he's injured, man, he has been a disappointment this season. But this is the injury report, so go on.
We'll get into that later. So the New Orleans Pelicans got Zion Williamson is going to be out for another 4 to 6 weeks after receiving injection in his surgically repaired foot.
Shut him down for the season.
I'm leaning more toward that way too. I think this is one of those things. This is one of those things where you have it's a recurring thing. It's a keep on recurring thing, and I think he's going to take a little bit longer to recover from the issue. Real quick, this is something very interesting. So in the past 3 years, Zion has played 82 games. 2 other guys in 3 years, 2 other guys have had the same amount of games in the same amount of time. Greg Odom and Joel Embiid. So this injury can go either way.
Yeah.
It can go either way. He could just recover from these injuries and he could turn for the superstar level that he's promised to be, that we were promised, or he can be another bust.
You're talking about Zion?
Zion.
Man, until he plays a game, we're not gonna be able to tell what he can do.
That's true.
He got to get that conditioning in order.
That's true, but what I'm saying is it's happened before where a guy has recovered from that and been the superstar that we were promised.
Who?
I just said Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid has not been the superstar that we've promised. He's been a good player.
He's a
what? What have they won to put him at superstar status?
Is he not a superstar?
He is he's a superstar, but what have they done for us to say, oh, because Embiid's injured every year too.
I'm talking about him.
He's injured every year too.
He is battling injuries every year, which happens. But what I'm saying is it hasn't been anything major.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And he is the cornerstone of the Philadelphia 76ers because he was I don't know if he was a number 1 draft pick.
He was number 3.
Number 3. So he was in that top 3 draft pick, didn't play first couple of years.
Was it Wiggins, Parker, Embiid?
It might have been that.
Embiid, yep.
So that's what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the Milwaukee Bucks, we have Chris Middleton, a hyperextended left knee. He's out indefinitely. We haven't really heard any timetable when he'll return. We just know he's out, and the Bucks are going to miss him.
Who is that?
The Bucks.
What player did you name?
Chris Middleton.
Yeah, I peeped that last night, and he was in street clothes last night.
Yeah.
Holiday was listed as rested. Interesting fact here while you're talking about injuries. There are currently over 120 players in the NBA on the injured list or the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy, fam.
That is crazy.
I thought we was gonna have another player on the injury list last night from Cleveland, though. The way dude fell, man.
Yeah.
Dude fell last night
on his neck first. Neck first.
He went up for it. Was it a dunk?
He went up for a dunk. I forget the player's name, but if you go back and watch the clips of the Bucks game, it was so detrimental. They didn't even show it on the big Tron again. But he was going up, and Antetokounmpo went under him, and bro fell dead on his neck and his head, and he was laying there for a good minute. I heard somebody in our section say they're gonna bring out the body bag. I'm like, that's a little aggressive, ain't it, man?
Harsh,
right? Right. I'm like, bro, what's wrong with
I don't
want to
say I'm that harsh when it comes to this stuff. I just say it underneath my breath to myself. That's what you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to say underneath your breath to yourself. Couple things for shoot around real quick. Isaiah Thomas. We've been talking about him for the last couple of weeks about him trying to get in the NBA. First, he got picked up by somebody in the G League, the Grand Rapids Gold. And then he played one game for them, scored 42 points. And after he scored that 42, the Lakers picked him up. His first game with the Lakers, 19 minutes, 21 points. Now, like I said before, we've been talking about him for the last 2 weeks. The Lakers picked him up right away. With him scoring this 21 points in 19 minutes, which is pretty good. I'm gonna say pretty good. That's pretty amazing. There are discussions of the trio getting broken up by trading Russell Westbrook. What do we think about this?
Well, first off, Isaiah Thomas has only signed a 10-day contract.
That's true.
And the Lakers can let him go anytime, and they can keep re-signing him the 10-day contracts.
That's true, too.
Isaiah Thomas, I think, added a spark for the Lakers in that one game we watched him play. With Anthony Davis being injured, I don't think the Lakers make any moves. Their coach is also in COVID protocol right now, so he won't be coaching for the next 10 games. I think that whoever the Lakers' number 2 coach is right now will really be tested to see how this team can manage without, say, Anthony Davis and with adding Isaiah Thomas. I think at this point, it's almost Christmas, which means we're at the halfway mark. We're at the halfway mark of the season, and the Lakers haven't figured it out. I don't know if breaking up this team would do anything for the team. I mean, what is it going to do, right? Because chemistry is always an issue when you trade a player. And so when you think about the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron is out right now. He's listed as day-to-day. Anthony Davis is out. Dwight Howard is out. Avery Bradley is out. Bazemore is out. So it's like, what are you breaking them up for? There's really no one left.
Well, it's the trio, and one of the reasons why they're talking about breaking it up as far as like just getting rid of Russell is because he's not producing as they thought he would.
Well, he's an older player. I mean, I know people don't like to acknowledge that players don't always keep that momentum as they get older. He's getting older. I'm not sure why people thought it was a good idea to put him with LeBron, who plays point guard often in the first place. I mean, if you're going to break it up, go ahead and break it up. But again, who's taking on Russell Westbrook in that large contract? So, I mean, if I'm a team, I'm not touching Westbrook. I'm not.
I don't think Russell is the problem, though.
What do you think is the problem?
I think it's finding the right coach. When you ask me.
So you're saying get rid of the coach?
Because you got talent. Those players are talented.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. But it's about finding that right coach to find the balance on the team.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the coaches come in at. Finding the balance, the rotation, and all of that. He leave him out there a little too long sometimes. You know what I mean? And even though he's turning the ball over, he's still standing on the floor. If he's turning the ball over 3 or 4 times, guess what it's time to do?
What? Pull him?
Sit him down for a little bit. Let him think about them 4 turnovers he just got.
Well, these are superstars.
Regardless, you still got to be a coach. I bet you Doc wouldn't do it.
I don't know. I see what you're saying, Keith, and that is a very old school approach to it. And but like
or like New York coach, what's his name?
Tim Tebow. No, it's like Tim Tebow.
Tom Thibodeau.
Tom Thibodeau.
I was going to call him Tim Tebow.
I was going to call him Tim Tebow. That's crazy.
Again.
But no, but I see what you're saying, Geezy, but let's not act like when it comes to this NBA stuff, especially this is a business. So you have these guys who are like they're expected to play 20,
Kemba Walker's
30.
Kemba Walker's expected to play because he's a yes, he is. He's a household.
He is
name.
A household.
And he's on almost a max contract.
No,
he's not.
No, he's not.
I said almost a max.
It's not even almost. He took a buyout, so he's barely making anything. Really,
he got 18, 20.
Yeah, he take a buyout from Boston.
No,
wasn't he waived?
Go look at his contract.
Are y'all sure? I thought he was waived, which would cost him to sign with New York.
I don't know if it was waived or he got traded. No, he was a free agent. He was a free agent, and he left in free agency. That's how New York got him because they signed him, but it wasn't no big contract like that.
It was not.
It was like 2030.
Oh,
so it was
he signed a 2-year deal, $18 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not a lot
because he was coming out of Boston.
He was waived. He was what is this here? Kemba Walker took a buyout from the Thunder to join the Knicks, so he was waived from the Thunder.
No, he was.
So a buyout is the same thing as being waived
from Boston.
So he was traded to.
He was traded to the Thunder,
and he wouldn't play for.
And he wouldn't play for the Thunder. And they waived him and took a buyout. So he gave up $20 million in his buyout, and then he joined New York for that $18 million. So he went from Boston to the Thunder to New York.
That's not right. He went to Boston. He went to Boston.
He went to Boston,
and he left in free agency.
He did not.
He was traded, bro.
He did not. He ended up with OKC, and he gave up $20 million in his buyout for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which landed him with New York.
Okay,
it's a lot that happens in the NBA. Anybody could have forgotten that.
So, but back to what I was saying was like him comparing him to Westbrook is uncomparable because Russell is like making stupid money right now.
Crazy.
But the only reason I said that though about him is I forgot Boston paid him. Boston gave him $35 million a year.
Yes, that is true.
That's the money I'm thinking about. I forgot about the New York contract wasn't that big. But even though like somebody coming off a $34, $35 million contract a year, you expect them to come play, right?
I do expect them to come play, but I think that the difference between the two is coaching style. I will give you that. Like some coaches not going to play around with you, and that does work for them. I think that with the Lakers coach, that's his name is, that guy. He was never like I'm gonna say, I'll say it. Come on, man. We all knew once he got hired with the Lakers, and LeBron was just. I'm like, come on, man, stop it. You a face,
So what you trying to say? He's saying he doing whatever LeBron say.
pretty much.
I mean, he got that bubble championship. Other than that, what has he done? He hasn't really had to coach him. He had to coach him through a bubble year.
Exactly. He had to coach him through a bubble year, and he was the previous coaching experience is LeBron taking him to the conference finals a couple times, and then ending their season early. So when it comes to him and his coaching and that job, he's just a face.
They need a real coach.
I agree with you. I do agree with you that it do need to be a coaching change, but I also don't want to give Westbrook some leeway here to do the stuff he's doing and thinking it's okay.
I don't either, but at the same time, my only issue is if you got Carmelo on the floor and the statistics show that the Lakers are a top 5 scoring team,
Mm-hmm.
how are they not able to compete? Is my thing.
I think that
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And I mean, they're not like the laziest team on defense either.
They're not the laziest team in doing it, but their defense has been slacking. And I think like when we at the beginning of the season, one of the things we talked about was them being old. And I think this is when that stuff kind of comes into play, because you got it's one thing to score offense, but it's another thing to get back on that defense. Besides Anthony Davis, besides LeBron, who else is really playing? Who else is a defensive stopper on that team? It ain't Westbrook. He's not known for that. It definitely ain't Carmelo Anthony. Dwight Howard is beginning to be less and less of that guy.
But I think the more you have offensive chemistry, it allows you to play defense because
That's true.
You're not having so many misses that you gotta hustle back 40 more times in a game than you normally would have to.
Yeah, that's true.
So you know what I'm saying? It all boils down to how their offense is set up, and I don't think he sets their offense up for them right. That's the reason they're losing. They only lose it because they can't get a bucket sometimes.
That's true too. I mean,
unless LeBron is pulling up from what is it?
The logo.
The logo.
I seen
for
that.
No reason. I'm like, dude, why?
I watched that game. Who was that? Who did they beat at the buzzer?
Oh, Indiana.
No, more recently, this past week. Was it the Minnesota
Thunder? I think.
No, it wasn't the Thunder.
I think the Minnesota Timberwolves beat them.
It might have been. I think it was Minnesota. I don't know. But the point is, it was a team they should have beat. Another team they should have beat, and they didn't. It came down to the wire. And this rookie hit a 3-pointer in the game. They were going crazy. I was like, why is y'all going crazy?
Oh, I know what game you're talking about. That was the Mavericks.
That's what it was. And they, at the end of the game, they're going crazy. Like, y'all, they took out
Reeves hit a big 3. That was a big 3 for a rookie.
That was a big 3 for a rookie. But I'm like, this is a Dallas team without Luka. Y'all should have blew them out.
They should have blew most of the teams out in the W column.
And exactly. So it's one of those things where like y'all was like super hyped about that. And I get that was a big moment for him. But I just, for a team like this, I expect more to be like, okay, we won this game. We're supposed to win this game. We should be ashamed of ourselves. They took us to overtime.
I don't think so, because sometimes I think when your superstar is not there, some other players play a little bit better.
That's true.
Than when your superstar is there. Like,
you don't know who to cover.
Yeah, you don't really know who to guard because everything is off now. The rotations is completely different from what you was expecting to come into.
Yeah, I get that. I get it. It was like moments like that, or even like LeBron shooting from logo, and low key I think it's kind of lazy, but that's a whole other story. But it's just one of the things where like
So what's lazy?
Was lazy that he had to shoot from. LeBron pull up and shooting from the logo is one of those things where
it's putting on the show. I think more than anything.
Putting on the show, but I also think he don't want to get down there because he's like, I'm tired, my body is hurting. I'm gonna just shoot this.
It take a lot of energy to shoot that shot where he
consecutively. But we all know shooting that jumper, like Steph Curry, for instance. Steph Curry shoots that jumper, and that's his area. His area is behind the 3, but that gives him 5 more years of jeopardy in the league.
5 more years of what?
Longevity.
Oh. You know what I'm talking about? But you decided what?
I didn't know what you're talking about.
I'm glad you're adding to the conversation,
He
though.
said
I'm
but-
just saying. I'm just waiting on my turn, man.
he said
You know?
gravity, but
I said
he-
longevity,
I
right?
just
I
waiting
said
on my
longevity,
turn.
right?
to speak,
Anyways.
you know?
Anyway, so with Isaiah Thomas coming back, we also have Mario Chalmers coming back he just signed a GD contract, and he said he's ready to come back. So, I think that's very interesting because you got these guys who are two smaller guys who are ready to come back and prove that they still got it. Do we think Mario Chalmers has a chance?
You know, I have not seen Mario Chalmers play basketball since the Miami Heat days. In fact, I forgot that
man,
he walked
forget-
away.
Don't even say that. Do you remember he played for the Grizzlies, man? Don't do him like that.
I-
I like
I-
Chalmers. Chalmers is one of my
Listen, man.
one of my favorite players.
Listen,
I mean,
I'm just saying. I forgot that he was a player in the game.
he was
I
the
thought
only
he
reason.
officially
The only reason
retired.
he fell off is because he was in Memphis, and then John Morant came in, and they
He's been gone way longer than John Morant.
no, he's
Yes,
only been out
he
a few
has.
years.
No,
What's his John Morant's what, fourth year?
try like
So-
his third.
Third.
Is this his third?
Yes. Even with that, Mario Chalmers ain't played in the league for over
It's been a while.
6 years.
It's been. I don't know if it's been that long.
John Morant is a top 10 pick.
The last time that
So
Chalmers played in the NBA literally was the 17-18 season. So it's been 3 years. Like I said, I forgot that he even played because his exit was so quiet.
even
It was without fanfare. It wasn't like he had a great run with Memphis. So, I mean, if these players still have it, I like to see them play and get a check. I think that's dope.
But he's never had standout numbers like that. He's just been a solid point guard his whole career. Like, if you go back and look at his Heat days, he never averaged over 10 points.
So I think that having him with Memphis, I mean, if that's their answer for point guard while Moran is out,
well, he just signed to a G League team. So he's trying to get back
to the NBA. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I mean, if that can get him back in on a team that needs a good backup, I say go for it. Because again, I think what we're seeing is a lot of these teams, and the NBA is taking a really, really hard stand on this. NBA is not rescheduling games. Like they just postponed 5, which they said they weren't going to do. But the NBA is taking a real hard stand against these COVID teams that aren't following protocol and getting sick. They're like, we're not going to be rescheduling all these games. So if signing some of these older players make these teams feel better with backups, great. But one of the things that I'm loving about this new NBA is that these veteran players don't get it done anymore. So I'm glad that teams are going out there and forcing themselves to do better within their team. I mean, there's Chalmers coming back doesn't excite anybody, but I'm happy to see him give it another go in the D League. But I don't think he'll make any difference on the NBA team. Not at this point.
Okay. So a difference maker is on his way back. Klay Thompson is targeted for January return.
And that's actually later than they initially projected, huh?
No, yes, because they were talking about Christmas,
Yep.
but he's going to miss the Christmas game and he's going to come back in January.
Who?
Klay Thompson.
Oh, I know what that's all about.
What's that about?
They're waiting for a home game, man.
I thought about that too. I thought they was waiting for a home
back
game.
on the road.
Yeah, you got to bring him back for a home game.
You gotta bring the Bay sensation back home.
And so the question is, how long before he start averaging 20?
I think
If he comes back in January, we just think a good March, April, or is he coming out the gate?
My thing is like,
they
with how good they're playing now, like
They still need him.
still need it.
like is it going to cause some friction? Because Jordan
You brought
Poole,
that up before.
Jordan Poole is playing some good ball right now.
Yeah, and
And
Klay.
He ain't.
Do you think Klay was as good as he was his second year in the league?
Yes.
Look up his stats.
Yes.
Second year.
I don't know if
Go-
he was that good his
This
second
is-
year.
This is Jordan Poole's what, second year, third year?
Third year. Maybe third year. See, but you talking about two guys who play different kind of ball.
No, they both are shooters.
They both are shooters. I think that with Poole, though, he's more of, I want to say grit and grind, but he gets in the paint. Like he gets in the paint, and Klay Thompson is more of a shooter. he's just a square up shooter, like a Ray Allen or I want to say Steph Curry. Like, and my question, the reason I asked that is because they've been taking their time with this, and I think like Dre has said in the past episodes that he likes when a team kind of takes their time with a guy and makes them kind of slowly get back into the rotation of things. This guy he played a couple times in the G League, and they're really taking this slow. That's why I asked this question. That's why I asked this question: is how long before you think he'll start averaging like 20 a game, maybe 15?
I think you let him get in there and get hot, it happens right away. You know, Klay, as you mentioned, is a shooter. He's not really an aggressive basketball player. So if he stays out of the paint, stops all the dunking and the jumping and all that, I think Klay will be back to original form in a couple of weeks. Now, there's some video circulating about him in practice. He putting up shots.
Yeah.
He jumping and he putting up shots. And we obviously know that practice doesn't always transcend to what's going to happen on the basketball court. But we're talking about Klay Thompson, a man who would probably, and I'm going to say this, who probably hold up, let me say it, who probably would have passed Ray Allen before Steph had he still been consistently playing the past 3 seasons. Because if you look at the three-point, man, you can budge yourself. Okay, Klay Thompson was on the roll of chasing Steph and Ray Allen for that record. Klay hasn't really played in almost 3 years, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So Klay Thompson, who is a prolific shooter, a prolific scorer, averaging 20 is nothing. All he has to do is shoot the 3-point basket. What?
But he didn't start averaging 20 until his 4th year. 5
or 6 times a game. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to easily get that. All he needs to do is shoot threes.
So you're saying a month?
I would say a month or less. I mean, I don't think we have that much worry about Klay Thompson.
But listen, though, I'm looking at his stats. He's never been that high of a 20-point game person. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't see him being a 20-point player a game with the how many players they got in rotation right now.
What are you looking at? He's averaged more than 20 for every season in his career, but the first 3.
I'm saying
that's what you just said, bro.
He said the 4th.
But I heard what he said, but he also said
until his 4th season. I said,
okay, Marquise Davis.
Anyway, this is my point is it's a lot harder to get that 20
compared to back then.
Now to back then, he's not the 100% Klay that was shooting the lights out before he got hurt.
I mean, we're not gonna know that. You're right. We don't know
that
until he steps on the court.
And my thing is, like, he can start out and have some good games, but he ain't played no heavy minutes yet, and he ain't had nobody bumping him yet and chasing him off them screens.
So
to see what those injuries are going to be actually feeling like after a real tough game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so he said a month or less. What you say?
I say he might not do it this season.
What?
He might not be a 20-point player this season. He might be like 15, maybe 16.
Only way he's 15 is if he comes off the bench and he stays that way. That's the only way he doesn't average 20. And the idea
he comes
of
off the bench 3 games at the most.
And the idea of him coming off the bench permanently, that's laughable.
I
agree with you.
Why is that laughable?
Because it's Klay Thompson.
I don't say because it's Klay Thompson. I don't want to say that.
He's probably the 3rd greatest shooter of all time.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I would.
Top 5.
Okay, Steph, Ray Allen, Klay, Reggie Miller.
Hold on. Please don't tell me you put that in order. Are you putting that in order?
Steph Curry, Ray Allen, Klay Thompson, Reggie Miller.
You're putting Klay Thompson over Reggie Miller?
Absolutely.
But I got a question.
Absolutely. Do you not see how some would argue that Klay's shot is better than Steph's?
Question.
It looks better. It's not better.
They both can land threes. I'm taking Steph all day, twice on Sunday, but Klay Thompson. But you don't act like Klay is not a top shooter.
I'm not saying he's not a top shooter. I'm not saying he's not. He's top 5.
My question is, though,
outside window
if
looking.
If you're an organization and Klay Thompson is 31, and he had 3 injuries back to back 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a 21-year-old Jordan Poole who's putting up close to the same numbers. I'm looking at it.
No.
I'm looking at
I'll
it.
see you looking at it. That's fine. We not gonna disrespect Klay Thompson like he
There's
wasn't
no-
part of
there's no
this
disrespect.
this championship
I'm looking-
team here.
I'm looking at it from a business situation.
Okay,
You're talking about a 22-year-old compared to a 31-year-old.
that's true.
Who has 3 championships?
Of course, he got 3 championships. Ain't nobody knocking him for that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't nobody ever take that from him.
What you saying is like his time has came and went though. That's how you saying it.
Yeah, you acting like he's done.
My thing is,
That's what you.
I don't
acting
think he'll get the minutes that you guys thinking he's going to get to put up 20 a game
Like I said before,
starting out this year.
I say he starts off on the bench 3 games. He starts off with 15, 20 minutes. Like they slowly, because Golden State has the luxury of taking their time, just because the position that they're in right now in the league. Steph Curry's shooting lights out. They're playing some really good basketball, so they have the luxury of kind of sitting Klay and kind of slowly working him into the starting lineup. At the end of the day, though, no matter how good Poole is playing, you're going to get comfortable on that bench. You can still get
So you're
20
saying-
minutes.
so
You
you-
can still get your 15
So you
minutes.
saying Poole going right to the bench as soon as Klay comes?
I'm not saying. I'm not saying he's saying. I said a week. I said a week.
As soon as Klay come in and he get a couple games under his belt,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan is going to the bench.
Bench. You're sitting right next to Gary Payton Jr. You guys are the 1-2 punch coming off the bench.
Really?
Yes,
You believe that?
I
I do.
believe that. And
I do.
I'm not even on a fan perspective. I'm on a perspective of I have to at least give you the opportunity to hold your spot. Now, if you lose that, hey, I'm all for it. Put him on the bench, slide him down. Poole obviously has been playing good ball, but even he knows his time is coming to an end. He knows that.
That's what I wanted to hear. I want to hear somebody say Poole time is coming to an
His
end.
Poole time is coming to an end.
Yep.
He knows it.
And
So that 18 points a game will go down to about what?
12, 15. 12, 15. And there ain't nothing wrong with that.
So let me say this. I do stand corrected. I thought Klay was way closer. He's not close at all. But still, he is still, when you look at some of these names, he is still a way better shooter than a lot of these names. Kyle Culver, who's number 5, he's a way better shooter than Kyle Culver.
I get that.
He's a way better shooter than Vince Carter. He's a way better shooter than Jason Terry.
Okay.
He's a way better shooter than Jamal Crawford.
That's fine.
Way better shooter than Paul Pierce. The only one above him right now that's arguably a better shooter than him, maybe Dame Lillard. And Dame Lillard's shots really, from what we see, come from a scoring perspective, not necessarily a skill perspective, right? Klay is a skilled three-point shooter. When you look at this list, I mean, LeBron's on the list. He's number 11, right? He's clearly a better shooter than LeBron. Right?
Yes.
Okay, he's a better shooter than Jason Kidd.
I mean, are you looking? Sorry, I'm assuming you're looking at the 3-point.
I'm looking at the all-time 3 lists, and
Okay.
and we got Curry, Ray, Reggie, Harden, Culver.
So my thing about that, like I said before, I believe Klay Thompson is a top 5 shooter.
So is Harden considered considered a top 5 shooter?
To me,
Not to
Even
me.
though he's
to me,
on that
James-
list,
not
and
to me.
where he at?
Not
to me, James Harden is a scorer. So whether he's getting it from the 3-point range, whether he's getting it from going inside the basket, so on and so forth, he can just get buckets. And it just so happens him getting buckets. Look, I don't like the guy personally either, but I'm not going to sit here and not deny him of the ability that he has.
Is he a better shooter than Klay Thompson? Yes or no?
Yes.
James Harden.
Yeah.
Is a better 3-point shooter than Klay Thompson.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why.
What you
Because
smoking?
no, I'm not smoking nothing
You
because
sure?
he doesn't have to compete with Steph Curry on his team.
Okay.
When you have
I'll
to
give you
compete with
that.
Steph Curry on your team,
I'll give
then
you
yeah,
that.
you're going to come second hand. James Harden is up there because when he was in Houston, he had free range. He tossing the ball up as soon as he stepped. I'm not passing to you clowns. I'm stepping up. I'm shooting.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man, but to bring it back home for you, I hope it doesn't kill the momentum that Poole has, because Poole is balling, and Poole, I think he's still on a rookie contract. Golden State's going to have to let him go.
I don't think so.
And unless they're saying we're no longer believing in Klay and Steph, because Jordan Poole, hear me out.
go ahead.
Hear me out.
I
Hear
told
me
you,
out.
I like where you're going.
You
Keep
know,
going.
Poole is too talented to come off somebody's bench.
Mm-mm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm.
bruh, it didn't work in OKC. They tried it with Harden off the bench all those years. They should have kept that core the way they had it because they should have won at least 2 titles. But LeBron stopped them. But that's another story for another day. Jordan Poole, I think, will want to be the man somewhere. I don't see him taking that bench role and just riding it out because, like bro said, Poole has been the man. Even last season, he was the only person helping produce with Steph.
I would say
so. I don't know. It'd be interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, that's for sure.
It is. I'll say this. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'll say. Like you have these guys like Dennis Schroeder, Reggie Jackson. These guys who are
Dennis who? No.
You have these guys who are coming off who were once coming off the bench, and they had star roles coming off the bench. Like they were getting most of their points coming off the bench. Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams. These guys who
Dennis
made
Schroeder.
careers off coming off the bench.
Dennis Schroeder.
And then what?
And got in the starting lineup and ain't been.
Man.
Exactly. So you have these guys who are making careers off coming off the bench, and we're talking like coming off the bench is some.
But he didn't make
a disdain on your career.
He didn't get his position on the bench. He got his position by being in that starting lineup next to Curry. He got confidence that he needed.
Because he has free range.
But now coming with Clay coming in and taking Clay's going to take.
You got to humble yourself.
Clay's going to take 75% of the shots he normally takes. Then
you got to humble yourself.
So
they will not even play on the court at the same time.
You got to humble yourself.
So what do you do then? Unless they do a 1-2-3 combo with him, Clay, and Steph. You got to
do, like I said before, you got the Splash Brothers who start this, and y'all might finish it.
Staff Splash 2.0.
But that don't make any sense for an organization looking to build towards a future when you got a 22-year-old that can put up 18 points a game now.
But your future still is with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. You still got the next 4 or 5 seasons with them at leading
5.
Do you think they got 5? Do you really believe they got 5?
Steph has 10.
I do.
Klay has 5.
I do.
No.
I do. 4 or 5 guaranteed.
They'll both be playing to their 40s.
Agreed.
40.
Agreed.
Because
not at the level not at the level Klay playing. Not at the level what Steph playing right now. He might got 3 or 4 years at that level left.
So you know what happens? You go from that guy to the Ray Allen role. Now you're just spotting up to that Klay to that what's his name? Kyle Korver. You go to that role. You go to a spot up 3. Hey, we need 3 points. Bam, there you go.
Kyle Korver has never been on the level of Steph, so you cannot even.
I'm saying spot up.
But he's been a sharpshooter.
He's been a sharpshooter his whole career.
Sharpshooters like that don't do that. Did you see Reggie do that? What did Reggie do?
Well, Reggie was a superstar.
Reggie
was a superstar.
Reggie Miller was clutch.
When it was time for Reggie to be done, guess what he did?
He was clutch.
He stepped down though. He ain't go to no bench role.
He didn't win no championships, but he was clutch.
But I'm saying, has he ever went to a bench role or coming and standing in the corner? That's what he gonna do.
Reggie started his whole career.
Exactly.
Some people
start their whole careers.
I noticed. Some people also know when to step away. Reggie knew when to step away. All right.
The Mamba wasn't going to know. Listen,
he should have.
No, he should have.
Dude, Kobe's last years were not that great to
They
watch.
weren't.
Come on.
They weren't.
We have to be okay as fans. We have to be okay as sports commentators and contributors to say that our favorite players need to step back. As a Jordan fan, I don't even talk about the Washington Wizard years because they were terrible. They were terrible. But it is okay to say that Kobe's last couple years, he should have stepped back and took the decrease role.
No, I don't say that. I'll say he should have left. He should have retired.
So that's the same thing. So
why retire though? Vince Carter didn't retire.
Vince Carter is one of those guys who can, I ain't gonna say need to get his money.
Dwayne Wade didn't do it.
But he needed to get his money. Dwayne
Wade did do it. Dwayne Wade ended up shuffling to many teams and came off the bench.
I'm saying he didn't go to that where he figured he had to take on another role. He left the league.
No, he went and joined Cleveland to try to win it.
I'm saying he did. That's what I'm saying he did.
So it's one of those,
and he came off the bench.
I know.
So it's a personal thing then. Like either you're going to come off the bench.
Is your ego that strong that you can't come off the bench?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's like LeBron.
Kinda.
I don't want to see LeBron as a scaled back player.
Why?
No, I want to remember him as he was. If LeBron gets to the Kobe part of his career, which he will get, either walk away and just let it go. But anybody trying to see LeBron come off the bench? Could you imagine checking in off the bench? LeBron James. You'll be like, wait, what? The same LeBron that never gave us a dunk contest. The same LeBron.
Or maybe he's in the starting lineup, but he's not the main player.
There you go.
Well, that should be the case right now, but we know it's not.
Well,
Clearly,
speaking
the
of
Lakers, the Lakers are going to go as far as LeBron takes them.
Yeah.
Clearly, with Anthony Davis there.
Yeah, because it should be the AD world, and it's not. But
Yeah, I'm like Charles now.
well,
I'm getting like Charles now with AD. He just really starting to get under my skin with the way he plays.
well, it's like Shaq said, bro. Shaq said, dude, you a top 75 player, and we don't even hear your name.
that's true.
We don't even hear your name, bro.
Well, speaking of top 75, he's back. Kyrie Irving is coming back to the Nets to play as a part-time player.
And it's already in COVID protocol.
Well, that's the first thing he is. He's in COVID protocol. But
Already.
but
Ain't played one game.
well, he ain't got vaccinated. So
But,
I'm not
see,
sure.
that's because he has to, because he hasn't been with the team, so he automatically got to go in protocol to even get with the team.
Well, before we even got there, the fact that the Nets are willing to bring him back as a part-time player.
They have 9 players missing right now. They don't have a choice.
I think that I don't even think it's about that. I think that they looked at this record. They see that James Harden isn't producing like they thought he would. They see that KD is playing heavy minutes at his age, and they also see the rest of the roster that they got. They
see-
like, we got to do something.
They see disaster getting ready to come.
That's
If
very
KD
true.
If KD keeps playing the minutes that he's playing, he'll be injured again.
And he's
By the
out right
playoff
now.
time. By
He's
the-
out.
Well, everybody's off with COVID protocol. What I'm saying is, even with him playing heavy minutes like he has been this season, it's gonna come playoff time. He gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
And he gonna be out for the rest of the
Well, not
playoffs.
even say get hurt, but he might be burnt out by then. Playing 44 minutes a game.
I mean, to me personally, I think Kevin Durant is saving Steve Nash's job. He is
Saving James Harden's career.
that too, and he's also saving this city a whole lot of embarrassment because they don't have no draft picks
None. For
Like,
a long time.
for a long time.
Because they gave up their future when they
And when we first
Paul
started,
Pearson, Joe Johnson, and all
Kevin
them.
Garnett.
Yeah.
so when we first started this season, that was the thing. Like, oh, we'll let Kyrie go. You know, we don't need Kyrie. I ain't gonna say we don't need Kyrie, but they were willing. The Nets were standing hard on that. Like they were standing real hard on that. Like, oh well, if you're not here all the way with us, then you're not here. And so the fact that they trying to bring him back, I think they see the writing on the wall. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with the Bucks. I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with teams that's coming up. Is like Chicago, the Washington Wizards. Like they struggling, and when they lost to the Rockets, Houston Rockets, with James Harden playing, I was like, oh, y'all in trouble. Y'all in
y'all
real
suck.
big trouble.
Yeah. Kyrie coming back, I think. I mean, the Nets found a way to get around it, but I think it's going to destroy the team morale.
Do you think so?
Oh man, you here, you're not, you're here, you're not. You can't play in any home games. If we go to the playoffs and have home court advantage, we only going to see you 3 out of the 7. I think it's a bad move. I think it sends a terrible message from the NBA trying to take a hard stand on their vaccine status. Well, it's really not, because NBA doesn't have a vaccine status. It's the state of New York. I think the Nets really blew it here because you did all this just to bring him back
I think
part-time, to pay him all that money part-time. I think it sends a bad message to the team. And again, no one's seen Kyrie play ball. And let's not also forget, and I like Kyrie, but Kyrie's also injury prone.
Listen,
very true.
Kyrie's also
I'm
injury
telling
prone.
you what this is.
What?
He's going to play a few games, and by the trade deadline,
He out of there
he'll be gone.
to a state with no mandate.
Yep. Somewhere he can play full time and don't have to worry about that. I'm
Like-
pretty sure they done worked out something already, because Kyrie ain't just coming back all of a sudden. When he was standing,
So
on
you
what
think
he
they
was standing
preparing
on-
him for a trade?
Yeah, he got to come back and play in order for a team to feel comfortable trading for him. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
Ain't nobody going to trade for him and they ain't seen him play. They don't know
Right.
if he really hurt.
Right.
And then they using the COVID stuff as an excuse to why he not playing.
So speaking of COVID-19, the NBA is considering allowing players to who test positive for COVID-19 but are asymptomatic to continue playing and avoid entry protocol.
I like it. I like it.
Really?
You said
I
they
like
doing
it.
What? Say that again.
So they're allowing if you test positive for Corona-19 but you just asymptomatic, they're gonna allow you to play.
I like it. Because here's the thing. We as a nation. Oh! My fault, y'all. I'm watching the Packer game. That catch that should have been a catch. Anyway,
Disrespectful.
what?
Disrespectful. This is a basketball show.
Man,
and you
I'm
watching the Packers
I'm
lose?
watching the Packers win 21-17, and Lazard should have caught that ball.
Can you just move on, sir?
Well,
You're doing
I
too
would.
much.
What?
You're doing too
Man,
much.
if this was a Cowboy game, you would have been watching it.
I already saw the Cowboys win.
Well, then shut up. So the thing about Kyrie Irving and the NBA's stance on COVID, we as a nation have to realize that COVID is not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And we cannot keep stopping our lives as a result of this, right? It's beyond vaccines. It's beyond mask wearing. If you're testing positive and you're not sick, right, there's no symptoms, there's no cough, there's no snotty nose, which are all cases of a common cold, I might add, and there's nothing major wrong with you, but you still test positive, go out and play.
But here's my thing about that. Everything you said is true.
But then you saying I'm gonna give it to him.
Well, no, because
And then on top of that, what if it turns around? What if he does start coughing while he's playing?
So here's the thing. In most cases, and where I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but in most cases, I believe that they said asymptomatic people that carry can be a carrier, not a spreader. We all can be a spreader and not know it. Here's the bottom line. It's no different than MJ playing with the stomach virus. The stomach virus is very contagious, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very contagious. It's no different than players playing with the flu. It's very contagious.
They don't play with the flu.
Some do. They thought Jordan's game was the flu until years later they figured it out.
It's the flu. Come on, we're not going to do that.
It's food poisoning, okay? Which is probably a little more severe than the flu. But nevertheless, if these players are asymptomatic and the teams are okay playing against each other, let them play. Let them play. If they're okay with it, let them play. I said what I said.
My God.
Let them play.
I mean, my thing, like I said, this thing.
I said if they're okay with it, let them play.
Of course they're going to be okay with it. Of course the NBA is. If I'm a basketball player and you say I can play and I feel like I can play, I'm going to play.
Well, I think a lot of sports leagues are going to end up doing that because you think about it. And let's look at football on this NBA podcast, Tone.
He ain't lying. Tone wasn't lying.
Well, he might not have been lying, but I'm going to say this anyway. So when Aaron Rodgers left, right, Aaron had COVID and he sat out. Let's listen.
Don't use Aaron.
Listen, he sat out a game or two, I think. And that could have been detrimental to a football record, right?
Yeah.
So in the NBA, if a player is asymptomatic and they're not sick and they want to play, what's the problem with that? Because we said that asymptomatic means you're what? You're not sick.
You're not sick.
You're not sick.
You're just a carrier.
You're just a carrier.
My thing is, what if that can turn around? Yes or no?
It absolutely.
We're like you said, we're not scientists. We're not doctors. Disrespect.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things. Like I said before, it's one of those things where you talk about, like, what if this turns around? What if this turns around?
Yeah.
And then you spread it. Now instead of 8, you got 12. And now we got to postpone some teams. Postpone
or
some
forfeit.
games. or that's the worst case scenario, forfeiting.
Or forfeit who he was out.
And so it's one of those things where I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I think this is anything. And I feel like the NBA trying to sugarcoat it to like it kind of has me thinking about what Kyrie said. Like the league don't care about you. Don't care about the players. They care about the business. They care about the money.
Yeah, the amount of man that makes $200 million, but okay. Go ahead.
The amount of money that the NBA lost during the bubble was crazy.
Oh, sure. But let's not just call that on COVID either. The NBA took a hard stand against racism and Black Lives Matter. And there's a pocket of people who feel like sports shouldn't be doing that. So the NBA losing money just wasn't as a result of COVID. It was a result of the stand they took in the social justice movement. If y'all don't believe that, then y'all smoking and drinking something good because people don't
that was a part of it too. But them being inside the bubble, not having fans, not people buying gear and so on and so forth is one of those things where like I have to look at it as like this is about the money.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about the money.
And so for the fact that they're trying to be like, well, if you asymptomatic, I think you can still play. Just because we have to postpone some games, we have to pull some stuff back, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but
it's
I think
kind of ridiculous.
I
to
think
me.
there's some underlying things we were forgetting. If you're asymptomatic, you still have to have 2 negative COVID tests 2 days in a row. You still have to do that.
But if you asymptomatic, I think they're talking about not even doing that.
So my stance for let them play means if they're asymptomatic and they still have to have those 2 tests within 48 hours, I'm good with that. But if you're saying you just tested positive and you can go play just because you're asymptomatic, I'm not. I'm saying it from a perspective of there's no need for an asymptomatic player to sit out 10 games if there's no symptoms.
If you're asymptomatic, that means you're a carrier. That means
you're a carrier.
You're going to have it for those negative. Those tests you're taking are going to be positive.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if you're asymptomatic, there's a chance you can take that test the next day and be fine. When I had COVID, I took a test on a Monday, had COVID. Man, you know I had COVID, man.
Oh,
Shut
yeah,
up,
you
man.
was.
Like a year ago. Man, if you spray me. Like a year ago, when I had COVID, I had the actual COVID in my body for a week.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual after effects and recovery was 3.5 weeks. But by day 6, my test was negative. But I still had a cough, still had fatigue, still had brain fog. So it was just negative. But it doesn't mean I was ready to go back to normal.
You said brain what?
Brain fog, meaning you forget a lot of things. You don't.
You
blame that on COVID?
That's a COVID side effect. If y'all read, y'all know that.
You was doing that before COVID.
Man, let's compare report cards. Let's compare notes. I know you don't want to go there.
I didn't go there.
Okay,
I just said,
good.
what does that have to do with your report card?
Didn't anymore. But no, so I think the NBA and other leagues, like the NFL, they'll have to figure out a way to live with it. But again, I don't know if COVID will ever be that safe to live with it in terms of stopping the spread. But to your point.
Okay. I think we should do a bubble. Go back to the bubble. Playoffs.
Why? No.
I want to
So you want virtual school too?
I don't want virtual school.
So then why? Okay.
These are NBA players.
No.
Are we on as much as they try to protect the players, I get that because going down to the floor to see a Bucks game for somebody like myself who isn't vaccinated is a chore. That like when you call me for that game and
don't
I had
go.
Let's not get ridiculous.
Don't go.
You think I'm gonna miss some tacos? So I can, you crazy?
Listen,
don't go.
Listen, them tacos is the reason I want to sit where I sit. I can sit anywhere in the arena if I can get them tacos.
Listen, we saw some tacos on Saturday. I said, Keith, there go them tacos. He said, "Nah, man, them the chicken ones, man.
They made the ones. No, they made the ones, man.
I ain't mad at you.
I'm gonna be for real.
I would have walked away too, like in disgust. Chicken. What is that?
I can't believe he even said that.
Yeah, well, I said it. But I mean, here's the thing: why penalize us because you can't keep your players healthy? Why penalize the fans that pay all this money?
We getting penalized. I think here's the thing. So if the players have it, obviously they can spread it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason for them to take the protocols that they have for fans, at least to have the COVID negative, the negative results or to take a COVID test within 48 hours is to protect the players.
And that's only for the first 5 rows. What about the rest of the stadium?
That's for the first 5 rows. You're right. But the rest of the stadium is 6 feet apart. So if you're going to do that for the fans, why not take in consideration that the players can infect us?
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, here's the thing too, man. The NBA has to figure it out because they just reinstituted the mask mandate for all players. They had took that away. I mean, the players are not social distancing from each other, right? They're playing each other. They're holding each other. They're traveling 24/7. I don't think there's a quick way to fix this, man. I just don't. I just think as a nation, including the NBA, we just have to learn how to deal with it. And if you're sick, you don't play. Bottom line.
But you got to remember, these NBA players are around a lot of people.
A lot of people.
There's trainers, there's doctors, there's reporters, there's media this, media that. You got to be at this event. You got to be at that event. You got to sign jerseys here, and everybody signing jerseys there.
Yeah.
Like, it can be so easily transferable in the NBA by how much they all touch the same ball.
Yeah.
Right. Anything, bro. Anything. They slapping hands.
So
and-
I mean,
But I'm saying though, just think of it like this: they all playing in the game. They all touching the same balls. You get 7 rotations in the ball.
Mhm.
How many times will a player do this and wipe their face and
Right.
and go straight to their face and eyes?
right.
And what is the one thing they always say?
I'm
Don't
just-
touch your mouth or your face.
Yeah.
Or your
I'm
eyes.
I'm
Wash
just
your
scared.
hands often.
Like I'm scared. Like I said, let's go to the bubble, and I get it. We want to see our teams play. I get that. I'm telling you right now, if this happens, let's say, fingers crossed, Giannis gets coronavirus in the middle of the NBA Finals. You know how pissed off the city of Milwaukee would be,
Well,
or Chris Middleton, or Drew Holiday.
here's the thing.
I just say when it's that time.
Even
let's say
it's the
players
Lakers.
let's say the players on lockdown. They can only go to home in an arena.
Exactly. So the NBA needs to be tougher on their rules. Like if you're at work,
So do you agree with me? I mean, do you agree that with the rule I just said? Because I just said a rule that is just kind of ridiculous.
it's ridiculous, but I'm not for no bubble basketball. No. The Players Association has to come to an agreement with the NBA that during the season, because coronavirus is still a pandemic, pandemics can last for years.
That's true.
Years.
We thought it was over.
And I never did, but most of America did, and then Omicron comes and kicks us in the behind again. But
Marion.
But they said that about the other one though. Before that,
Delta variant,
the Delta, they was like, "Oh, the Delta variant, you better not get it.
yeah.
Or you might die." Everybody, Delta done went past now.
Now
And
we got
here we
something
are
else.
on the
Omicron.
Omicron, whatever they want to name it.
Well, here's the thing.
Who's coming up with these names, man?
Well, it's just like hurricanes, man. They got things where they have to come up with names for variants and storms. But here's the bottom line, man. It's here. We have to live with it, and we have to learn how to live with it. And the NBA has a problem on their hands in terms of controlling this because it's spreading like running water. It's spreading. Most of these injuries are because of COVID-19 protocols.
Yeah, that's why we didn't really do the injury report today.
And here's the thing:
All the folks out here kicking it.
if you are going to play in this NBA, like he said, you go to work, you go home.
It's hard to control a grown man.
It's hard, but
if
if
you want
it's-
to
it
go out
was-
to dinner with your family, that's fine. But like,
It was hard to control somebody at this
but you
table.
got people who are
They
literally
can't help but
You got
they
people
gotta
who
be
are
on the
in
move.
bars that are literally packed to the brim, clubs that are packed to the brim, and they all in there. And you got people not vaccinated, you got people vaccinated. It really don't matter because if you're spreading it, you're spreading it. Either way it goes.
I mean, and again, I think I was talking to someone coming in today. I'm like, you got people that are maskless, you have people who are maskless and unvaccinated. So people are living with it's true. People are living with the if I get it, I get it. It's different in this world of sports because it impacts so many different people. It impacts the TV networks. It impacts the fans. It impacts teams. But to your point, Zeke, I mean, what the NBA is doing right now is they're saying if you get it, you're out 10 to 14 days.
So then, should we be asking for some money back from our broker when our team is 9 players down and we didn't pay the because I'm
Y'all
pretty
ain't
sure
got
the
no
reason
cover.
we got season tickets was to see Chris Middleton and Giannis.
I mean, I don't know that we can ask for money back from an act of God. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's unfortunate, but you ain't getting no money back unless they go to the bubble. We got money back when they went to the bubble.
NBA don't want to have certain restrictions on players. People are paying hard-earned money that they work for to come watch them play, and they can't watch them play because they're in COVID protocol
Yeah,
every other week.
literally. Giannis, and I've been to 12 games this season. Giannis has not played in many of them, not just because of COVID, because of other injuries, because of rest.
Yeah.
So if I was one of them type of fans, I would be really upset. But I mean, I've moved on from that. So.
Clearly,
Exactly.
I'm
Sit
not
on the
upset
floor,
because-
sit on the floor and
at
do
the
that
end of the
too.
day, I still give me some tacos. I mean, hey, it's tacos, man.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all, Kesey. Not one bit. And I pray to God before this season ends, I get at least another opportunity for those tacos.
Well, you keep messing with me, you won't ever have another one. So,
You know
I
what?
thought I said it out loud.
You did say that out
Wow.
loud. You know
Oh,
what?
wow.
You know
He
what? I'm
just said
glad
how he really felt.
he really
I was
did.
just thinking it in my head.
And you know what? I beat.
Well, that'd be a fight, won't it? You fight him over them tacos, won't you?
Well,
I'll think about it.
well,
He play with me.
well.
I'm gonna fight him over them tacos.
You want to go on that list too?
Put me on the list. Put me on the list. I know where you lay your head.
And you know what, Kesey?
I know
You see,
you-
I thought
I know-
about it. I thought about it.
I know where you work. I know where you hang out. I know where you get your hair cut.
Where I get my haircut?
Don't worry about
You'll
that.
find it.
I ain't gonna say
Hey,
it on
he
here.
posts everywhere. You'll find it.
I
I
don't
know-
post everywhere. That's a
Oh.
lie.
He know I know where it is. It's on Capitol.
It used to be. I go to Exodus now.
Well,
But no.
anyways, there's been another episode of 94 Feet Podcast. I'd like to thank my brothers, Dre.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for listening in.
I thank my brother Kesey.
Thank y'all for listening, good people. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to y'all, man. Stay blessed, people.
Oh yeah, I thought about this is the episode before Christmas.
Well, Christmas, yep.
So
So
hopefully we'll be at the Christmas game with Giannis and at least Drew Holiday.
I will
How
definitely
long
be
are they
there.
saying Middleton out?
They haven't really given any details about that. So I
In
don't know how
fact,
long
he's
it'll
just
be.
listed as DNP. So it's really no one really knows.
So he probably just resting.
No one really
It's
knows
a
what it is.
hyperextended knee, so
Yeah.
it's got to be at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But they haven't said anything, which is very odd. They treating it like they did Lopez, like they did Dante. Like they're not saying nothing. He's just out. But I also like to. Oh my God. So
Listen to us
listen
on
to us on
Spreakers,
iTunes,
Spotify,
Amazon,
iHeart.
Google.
wherever you like to listen to your favorite podcast.
You can also check us out on socials on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that good stuff. Wherever you stock your X's.
At 94 at 94 Feet Podcast. That's 94 FT Podcast.
Like us.
Subscribe.
And all that good stuff.
Oh man, you suck. Like us, subscribe, comment, agree with us.
Probably not.
94 Feet Nation, baby.